I do think, with respect to demonstrating our commitment, I would actually like to put forth an amended motion here to give ourselves, or to give a deadline for the General Assembly to act on this before we choose to act ourselves. Right now we just say that we are urging the General Assembly to act in their special session in August of 2020. Well, what if they don't? Then what? And we don't say anything about that. And we don't say anything about a second session either, because there's a good likelihood that the General Assembly could be very concerned with schools, with COVID coming up on the August session. They may not have an opportunity to get to this. I don't know, but at the very least, I would ask that we insert language that says that should the Virginia General Assembly not vote to change the name of Route 1 by the end of their 2021 general session or regular session, the city of Fredericksburg resolves to change the name on its own.
I accept the amendment.
All right, then the maker of the motion accepts the amendment. Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I make my general comments, I want to make one thing. I actually went and got in contact directly with VDOT on this issue, and I want to read the response I got back. This is from our district office on the name change issue in the CTB, directly having to approve it. Answer: because you are a city that gets payments from VDOT to maintain your roads, City Council has the authority to rename. CTB does not have to approve. Just throw that out there for anybody who wants to have that discussion. I want to have this conversation. I think it's a very important conversation to have, no question. But I think it needs to have the community discussion or input as we move forward. If VDOT is correct, we potentially can get ahead of the VDOT and or the CTB on renaming this highway. But I think it needs to have some type of community component to the discussion before we take an action. Let everybody have their say. And we can do that. Fredericksburg has done this. It has done it with the auction block. We had a long community discussion. Everybody got a chance to say what they wanted to say. We've made the decision and we've moved on. Last week, I sat in on a meeting with two protest leaders who asked to meet with individuals who disagreed with the protest. And that was arranged. And it was a 2-hour conversation. No screaming, no yelling. Was there a lot of agreement? No. Were there areas of common ground? Yes. And we're working on some of those ideas now. We can do that. All I'm asking is that we have some type of public comment period before we take this action. So I'd make a substitute motion that we at least schedule a public hearing before we take a final vote on this, at a minimum. And I'll make that as a substitute motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I said I do not hear a second to the substitute motion. So in that case, we vote on the motion before us. Dr. Duffy?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm prepared to support the motion. And I think it is remarkable that we are in a different place than we were only just a few years ago. But I have to share my general thought on this is that, the Confederates lost the war, but we've spent generations trying to win the peace. And that the freedom cause that was born out of that terrible conflict, which started in Reconstruction and continued a few generations later in the second Reconstruction, And it's built onto now a new freedom movement to address another kind of racial injustice. And racism isn't maybe entirely the right word for it, but it's the kind of hidden bias, the kind of unfair treatment that people of color suffer in this country every day that white people generally don't. And this road that runs through our town, being named as it is a symbol largely of efforts against that cause of freedom, that freedom movement that took so many generations, so many efforts. And it would be different if we lived in a society where we had as many monuments to social justice as we do to Confederates in our own state. The context is that the kind of change we need to make in our town, in our state, is that people of color shouldn't have to live in a place that celebrates monuments of their oppression. And so I'm supportive of it. I know it's painful and hard. I probably would have preferred that we go ahead and vote to rename it ourselves. But I support the resolution put forth by Ms. Devine, and will be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Vice Mayor Fry?
I will say this is huge. Me personally, I can't hear any more Save Confederate stuff. I don't even want to hear it. And I'm open. Really, I'm open, but I can't hear it, especially this day and time. I don't want to hear it. We've heard it enough. And we are here now reteaching kids history that are grown. We have adults that have been through, school systems, and they don't know half of the history. So I remember with the MLK request, that was the whole Fall Hill Avenue. And some of the concerns then were, well, people are going to have to change the name and all of that, So, of their addresses and all kinds of things that were happening. But I really think that that we have been very productive in the city. And every chance I get when we have these type of conversations, I'm going to give the whole council credit.
Councilor Graham,
Yes.
Councilor Duffy,
Yes.
Councilor Devine,
Yes.
Councilor Kelly,
No on process.
Councilor Withers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fry,
Yes.
Mayor Greenlaw.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1.